We're gonna check out this wild. This is one of the wildest episodes of People's Court I've ever seen. All right, we're first introduced to the plaintiff, Amanda, who's like, I have always wanted to buy a house. I saved up for like 10 years. I saved for 10 years on that teacher's salary. It took me a long time. And then I found the perfect house, a beautiful Victorian house. This is the guy who sold her the home, by the way. The defendant. After living there for a little while, I realized this house, it might be haunted. And then we see Judge Million's face. That's her face. She's like, haunted, you say, huh? Okay, tell me more. Haunted? What do you mean by that? Elaborate, plaintiff. Well, Your Honor, I was living there for a few weeks and, the floorboards were creaking, cabinets were opening. Alright, that's the judge's face so far. Like, alright, creaky floors, you need to get your floors done better. Cabinets opening, maybe the house is, shifting, maybe you need to, yeah, maybe it's an old house, alright? Alright, but tell me more, plaintiff. Judge is like, what do you mean the cabinets would open? I need more detail. Oh, no, Your Honor, as I would walk through the house, they would open, like, right in front of me, right in front of my eyes. So you would witness them opening. Really? Yeah, Your Honor, and it really started freaking me out. I figured it was an old house. It was built in the 1950s. That's really not that old to me, but okay. 1950s. Like it was a billion years ago, the 1950s. Okay, but it was an old house. It was built in the 1950s. Your Honor, it's very old. Creaking floors, that's one thing, but yeah, witnessing the cabinets open, that would freak me out. Oh, well, about a week after the cabinet incident, I was awoken in the middle of the night from my sleep by a loud crash, so I went out to investigate it. At first, I didn't see anything, Your Honor, but as I looked, I saw a figure lying on the floor. When I got closer, I realized it was a woman, and blood was surrounding her everywhere. And this woman's face, I just had to show it in the background. She was like, "What?" Yeah, this woman's very affected, the audience member. She's like, "You crazy white lady, you better move." Only a white person would stay in that house. Not only was she surrounded by blood, which totally freaked me out, but then, Your Honor, she stood up. Yeah, this woman's like, yeah, I don't know. And she stood up. Yeah, all right. Tell me more, white lady. She stood up and she yelled at me to get out. So I ran away. And when I came back, she was gone. The judge's face as she's telling the story. One of those eyebrows is raised up. So you ran away. You ran away where? How long were you gone when you ran away? I ran away just, to my room. That sounds sus. I mean, if I saw that, I would have ran away to my car and drove to another state. But okay, tell me more, crazy white lady. I just ran to my room for a few minutes. Okay, so you ran away to your room for a few minutes, and then you came back out to where you saw the lady that told you to get out, full of blood. Yeah, that's what I did, Your Honor, and when I came back, there was no one there. There was no trace of anything. It was like it never even happened. The blood was gone. The lady was gone. Everything was gone. There was no proof. I couldn't prove it. There was no proof that anyone else was there. So, that was very scary, Your Honor, and I mean, what was I going to do, call the police? What am I going to tell them? Like what I just told you? They'll think I'm, crazy. Yeah, they might not have a good reaction to that type of call. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, Your Honor, they might think I was crazy. Okay, alright, I totally understand. Continue. Continue, plaintiff. So you had no problem calling the cops back then, but you got no problem telling me this now. Okay, continue, plaintiff. Your Honor's a comedian. That's hilarious. Let me continue. So I did the only logical thing, Your Honor. I hired a psychic medium. Oh, and did you bring her here today for me? Oh, thank you. I am so glad to see this witness of yours. Hello, Your Honor. Thank you for having me. I am a psychic medium. Okay, tell me more. How long have you been doing this? I come from a long line of psychics, Your Honor. I was born this way. And, I discovered my power. I discovered that I was gifted with the abilities since childhood. Like I said, Your Honor, I was born this way. I've worked very hard and I've become a professional psychic medium. At 18, when I was an adult, I became a professional psychic medium, but I was born this way, Your Honor. That's my witness. Okay. People actually hire you? Yes, Your Honor, people hire me to read palms, tarot cards, and to talk to ghosts. People will hire me to go into their homes to determine if they are haunted. How often do people hire you for the ghost thing? Oh, probably a couple of times a month. Really? A couple of times a month? Really? Wow. Wow. I cover a large territory, Your Honor. The judge is pondering. Okay then, so you went to her house. Yes, Your Honor, I went to her house. I had her wait outside so her energy wouldn't interfere with my reading. I walked in the front door immediately. I felt a presence. It was an angry presence, Your Honor. It was so angry, Your Honor. And as I walked around the house, the anger turned to sorrow. Okay, tell me more. And then I made it to the living room, and in the living room, the feeling was so overwhelming. I immediately went into a trance. And while in that trance, I felt the spirit come into me, and it came into me. The woman told me that she was Dorothy, and she said, I want you out of my house. You must leave. All right, let me hear from you, defendant. All right, let me hear from you. Tell me, did something happen in the house? Yeah, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor, my mother was murdered in the house five years prior, Your Honor, by my father. What happened? My father had lost his job. He had an issue with drinking at the time. Came home one night from working at the casino. I don't even know if he was really working then, though. He might have just been gambling, lying about it, but it's kind of funny. I can't even really remember. He and my mother started arguing. That wasn't necessarily abnormal, but this time it was more intense. I came down from my room and I saw my mother on the floor in a pool of blood. My father over her with a wrench. A wrench? Yeah, a wrench. My dad ran out of the house and I just kind of stood there in shock. I was in disbelief. I mean, did you call the police? Yeah, the police came. What happened with your father? He's serving 20 to life right now. Yeah, I know, Your Honor. It's crazy. It's a crazy story. All right, plaintiff. After your psychic friend came over and did a investigation of your house, did you look up anything about your house? Did you try to get information about your property? Yes, Your Honor. I found an op-ed, Your Honor, and it spoke about how people in the community felt this house could be haunted. Huh, did you look up, though, anything about the house before you purchased it? Because, all you have to do is just search the address and you can find a bunch of information. I saw the listing, Your Honor, and I didn't look any further into the house, no. Your Honor, I was just so excited. I mean, I just wanted that house. Because she's looking at it. Mm-hmm. So when you were doing the walkthrough of the house and the property before purchasing it, did you ask him, like, why is it so cheap? I did, Your Honor. I did, as a matter of fact. Because I saw that in your complaint. I said to myself, who says that? You don't say, why is it so cheap? And then he's going to make the price higher. Because you found the price to be cheap for the house, right? Yeah, you're right, Your Honor. I did find it to be cheap. The house was an incredible price. Side-eyeing, huh? What'd you think you were going to get for that cheap house? Tell us more, plaintiff. He said the house had been on the market for a while and, he wanted to sell. That's the face he's making. Side-eyed. He's also side-eyeing her. Okay, defendant, did the plaintiff ever ask you if anything bad ever happened at the house? No, Your Honor, she never asked me if my mother was murdered by my father in the house, no. Did she ask you why it's so cheap? Alright, then, Her Honor asks the plaintiff, like, how did you come up with the number that you're suing for? She's suing for, like, 12,000 something. And the plaintiff explains that's the maximum that she can sue for in small claims court, things of this nature, right? Ha ha ha. And Your Honor is saying, plaintiff, well, what do you feel that the defendant actually did wrong? That he should be liable and, pay this amount that you're suing? Well, he could have told me that someone passed away in the house. So you feel he has a legal obligation to tell you this. In some states, it is required. I don't know what state this happened in. She's like, Your Honor, he has a moral obligation to tell me. And they're in California. Oh no, honey, you're in the wrong court for that. We don't enforce moral obligation. That's moral court, honey. That show's been off the air for years. I enforce legal laws, honey. Mm-hmm. Defendant, you seem to be up on the law. Why don't you explain things for us? Explain to me, defendant, what is your legal obligation? Legally, Your Honor, after 4 years, it's buyer beware. Yeah, you pretty much summed it up. It's actually 3 years in California. California is one of the only states that requires any death be disclosed to a future buyer, even natural causes. But that's in the first 3 years. After those 3 years, you don't have to disclose that information. But you cannot lie. If someone asks, has anyone ever passed away here and so on, then you need to tell them. But they have to ask. Yeah, so legally, he doesn't have the obligation to disclose that information unless you openly asked. And interestingly enough, you got a great deal on that house. Are you still living there, by the way? No, Your Honor. Did you hear what I said? The ghost lady covered in blood told me to get the hell out. Did you sell it? You gonna sell it? 'Cause I suggest you wait 3 years at least. Yeah, I suggest you wait 3 years, because now you're gonna have to disclose that information. Yeah, you're gonna be having to disclose that because you know about it, and I'm not trying to make light of your discomfort there. Listen, girl, I'd freak out and run too. And I'm not making light of your psychic gift, psychic lady, but, I'm bound to do what the law says. Sorry, plaintiff, the defendant did not have to disclose this in this case, and my verdict is for the defendant. All rise. And that was that weirdo episode of The People's Court. So there you go. All right, thanks for watching with me if you did. Yeah, all right. That was interesting, I guess.